are just trying to understand what are the elements which is going to be available in the views. First of all, what is the meaning of views here in Tableau is that the place where you're going to see your visualization. So you will be placing your fields both in the columns shelf as well as in the row shelf. After you have placed your values into the column and the row shelf, what you will see is some kind of graph or some kind of chart getting displayed in one place. So that place is what you call it as a view. Okay. So there are so many things that you can do with this view place. There are so many parts which is available in this view place. So in this session, we will just try to understand what are the things that you can do with your view. Okay. So to understand this, naturally, this is going to be a complete demo part where you have to, just we are going to explore the various options that is available in that place. So let's get into our Tableau environment to understand what are the things which is available in the view. Okay. So let me just get inside my Tableau environment. So you can see here, this is your Tableau environment, right? So in your Tableau environment, the view place is nothing but this is the place I was talking about. Okay. So you keep something into your rows and the columns. Immediately what you're going to see here is some sort of visualization. Okay. So this is what you call it as a view area. Okay. And this view area will consist of few things. One is that it will have a table in some form. So table in the sense, table will be a combination of your rows and the columns. So the table, it will somehow, each of the view is going to consist of some table, and that may include a row, column, and then it can have a header, axis, panes, cells, and marks. So these are some of the things. Definite, it is a must which you will find it for every view that you generate in your Tableau environment. Whereas, optionally, there are few more things also you can add it, like tooltips, titles, captions, field labels, and legends. These are certain things that you can actually explore optionally, which is available in this view area. So when we say parts of a view, we are just talking about what are the elements that you're going to see under the view area in Tableau. Okay. So when we talk about the data views in Tableau, most of the time in Tableau, the data views is going to be displayed in a table on every worksheet. Okay. So every table will consist of rows and columns, and the rows and columns in turn is going to consist of many more components. So those components only you call it as a header, axis, pane, cells, and marks. So let us try to understand what each of these things means. Okay. So first of all, I am going to tell you how the first component that we are going to explore is headers. Okay. So headers is something which it will be created whenever you are going to place some dimension on your rows and the column shelves. Okay. So then your, it is going to create some header. Okay. So say for example, let me just put certain things into my columns and the rows to understand what is the meaning of a header. Okay. So now what I'm going to put in the columns is that maybe I will put the order date in my columns. Okay. And then I'm just going to explore this itself. Then I'm going to put this, this is going to be there. And also let me just put the category. Okay. So let me just put the product here. Okay. And then I just wanted to explore subcategory. So now you can understand, see here, what you're seeing on the top of it, right? This is what you call it as an, like, order date is there, right? So this is what you call it as a header. Similarly, under your category, you have a furniture office supply technology is there. So this is what you call it as a headers. So as I said, this view pane completely, I mean the view is going to completely consist of a table. So this is the table that we are seeing, and in this table there is a combination of a row and a column. For this table there are additional components. The first component that we are seeing is the order, I mean header is the first component that we are seeing. So now what are all the things that you can do with headers? First point is that only thing is you can actually decide whether you wanted to have the headers or not in your view. You can decide that. So how can I decide that? Means just let us go to the subcategory. So see here there is an option here, show header. So if you uncheck it, it is going to remove that header for me. Okay. So similarly here, if I will take, I am just unchecking my header. Okay. See, it's gone. Okay. So similarly here, let me just uncheck my header. Okay. See, this Q and Q2 is gone. Okay. Similarly, here also I'm going to uncheck it. All the years is gone. Okay. So in category, I will uncheck everything. Everything is gone. So without headers, you have only the values. Of course, it doesn't make any sense without any headers. If you have the table, you will not be able to understand what is there in the header. But what you can do is that this option is available, and you can make use of this option in case if you are dealing with multiple measures and few headers you doesn't want them to be displayed. You can always do that. Okay, you can always do that by making use of this hide header option. And so the first component of your view is header. With the header, you can actually decide on whether to show the header or not. Okay. Next thing what we wanted to explore is that the next component is axis. In fact speaking, we have spoken about this axis a lot in the previous session, where we have spoken about individual axis, dual axis and blended axis. So these are certain things that we have already spoken. So just to recollect what is there, let us just try to understand what is the meaning of a axis basically. So axis is something which it will be created whenever you are going to place some kind of measure or some kind of continuous field when you're placing it in your headers. I mean when you're placing into your row or column shell, then this is going to create an axis. Okay, understand very clearly when you are trying to put some measure or continuous field on the rows and the columns. If you put that, then it is going to create a axis for me. Okay, so let me just put certain things. Probably sales is the right option because it is going to be, it is going to be a measure. So I have kept my row, and in my rows shelf I have kept my sales. And then for the columns, let me just put my categories. Let me put my location, which is my region I have put. Okay. So now what you're getting is this one, right? So what you're seeing here, right? Just click on it. You will have an edit axis. So this is what you call it as an axis. So that's what I said. When it is going to be a measure or if it is going to be deal with a continuous value, then your axis is going to be created. Okay. So this is one thing that you can do it. And also similarly here also what you can do is that, see, when you do this, you can actually uncheck your show header. That complete axis is going to be removed. Okay. So that also is, you can do it. So when it comes to axis, when I uncheck my show header, the complete all the details of the header is going to go off. Axis is going to go off. So we can do that and we can show the axis. Okay. So this is the only thing that you could probably do with the understanding of the component called as axis. So remember, this is the first thing that all of you need to remember with respect to axis. Okay. So we have explored on two components. One is the header and the second one is the axis. Next, what we are going to see is basically a pane. So I said there is one more component called as a pane, right? So let's understand what is the meaning of this pane as well. So what is the meaning of pane means? See, generally in a table calculation, what happens is that, let me just take my whiteboard here. So what happens is that, see, you will have a table like this generally, right? So I'm having a table in this manner. Okay. So like here it is there. Now I have pen is the first category I am having. Okay. So in this, under this pen category, I have, maybe a fountain pen, then ball pen is there, then gel pen is there. Okay. So these are different categories which is following in the same field, which is my pen field. Okay. So these you can call it as a cells. Each of these component is going to be called as a cell. Okay, this fountain is a cell, and ball pen is a cell, and then gel pen is also one cell. So what will happen is, if when you're performing a table calculation completely, for each of these fields you will try to identify how many total number of elements or anything, any kind of computations you might be performing. Okay, so this complete thing is what you call it as a pane. Okay, did you get that point? So a pane, you can formally say that as an intersection of the fields on the rows and the column shells. So that's what you can call it as a pane. So just let us get an feel of how it is going to look in my Tableau environment is that, maybe I will put the order date in my column shell. Okay. And then I'm just going to extend this itself. Then let me put the same thing in my rows as well. So quarter and month is coming in the rows. So now you can see here, this is what I was talking about. This whole thing is what I call it as a pane. Okay. But this doesn't make any sense if you do not put the value. So let me put the sales in my marks. So once I have put the sales in my marks, so then I'm putting the text. Okay. So now this is what this complete thing. It's January, February, March for this quarter one. This is what you call it as a pane. Okay. So I think you got an idea on what is the meaning of pane. Okay. Now the next component is basically cells. I in fact told you what is the meaning of a cell, and to be very precise on what is the meaning of a cell. So let me just remove this. So what I'm having is a quarter date, and then maybe I'll put this, subcategories in this, probably I will put this product category, and to make it more interesting, let us keep the subcategories. Let me remove this category. Okay, so now what you have here, this one is there, right? Accessories 19,614, right? That is what you call it as a cell. Okay, so this is supposed to be one of the basic component of any table that you create in your Tableau. Okay, so so that's about the cell. Then similarly, I think I have explained you everything, and yeah, this one is basically your title. Okay, so you can actually change the title, like, click on edit title. You can give a name for this, as maybe I will give it as parts of view. Okay, let me just give it as parts, and you can change your font whatever you want, and size, font size you can change, colors you can change, and let me just change it to red color, and yeah, so that's done. And then you can actually insert it, like, where exactly you wanted to insert it. You can choose the corresponding options here, then it is going to be displayed. Okay, so click on OK. Now you can see here, it is here. So now this title you want it to be in there somewhere in the down, or somewhere on the sides. All of these things could be done with the customization which is available here. Okay, edit title, and then here you can actually change wherever you wanted it to be displayed. Everything could be done from this one. Okay, so that's about the titles. Okay, then you have something called as a marks, right? So this is marks. How this marks is going to have an impact on the view, that we need to understand, because as soon as I put the sum of sales into my marks card, there was some kind of modifications which was happening here in my uh, view. Okay, so that you need to understand. Okay, so probably what you need to understand is that the same example if you could take, or otherwise let me tell you one more example also. Let me just remove this. Okay, so now for example, probably we will put the order date in the column shelf itself, and then let us put the uh, category, or yeah, region, we will put it in this one. Okay, so once you have put this, let me just remove this one. So what you're seeing here, you're just seeing the ABC value, right? So only with a region and the year dimensions, there is a mark for every combination which is associated. Okay, there is a 4 rows and the 4 columns, and for each row and each column there is a mark which is associated. Okay, so here it is showing a ABC just because of the reason that the mark type is set to text. Okay, so this ABC is actually representing the location where the value for this text mark will appear. That's all it is. Okay, so actually you can display these marks in different ways. Okay, so for example, I'll put the sum of profit here. Okay, so I have put the sum of profit here. Now you can just go ahead and just click on a label. You can see that how that, I mean, each mark, how it is getting the values, you can see it. Or you can do a color coding also, with different colors it is showing. Okay, and it could be displayed in shapes, like shapes, bars, maps. You can do it in any of these ways. Okay, so see, when do we use this is like, because for this visualization, if you just wanted to find out, like, which particular region is having the highest profit, if you wanted to find out, so you can make use of this type of options to find out which is having the highest profit. Okay, so central is having a profit of minus 400, profit of 5000, and the profit of minus 400, this is a 400. Okay, so with east region is definitely having the highest profit. So you can identify in this manner by placing the corresponding field in your marks card, and then changing the size or detail or anything, whatever you wanted to change it, you can just change it, and then you can get the required results. Again, like, the visualization is going to help you to give certain answers very clearly. So this is one more component which is there in your view pane, and it is of course mandatory that you need to understand how these marks should be associated with the view that you're creating, so that you can actually make a kind of, a very good form of visualization could be made. So in the beginning of the session, what I told you was that parts of a view actually include certain parts which is considered as a mandatory parts, right? So in that mandatory parts, we spoke about rows and columns form a very vital part, and that's something which is unavoidable. So we understood that. So we have put the rows and the columns. Once the rows and the columns is done, there are few things that you can think of it. One is what you call it as a header, and this next one you call it as a axis. Then pane was there, cells was there, and then marks was there. So these are all are the options that is completely mandate if you are working with the views. And we got to know what each of the things is doing with an example. Okay, and I also mentioned that there are certain optional fields are also available. Okay, so those optional fields, if you think of it, we spoke something called as a tooltip. Okay, so there is a tooltip is basically is nothing, it's very simple. See, if you hover over this, right, if, like your, this is your marks basically. So on your marks, if you hover over it, you can find some information. Okay, So this is what you actually call it as a tooltip. Okay, and here you will get some options actually. So what are the options it is going to give means you can annotate the mark, annotate the point, and annotate the area. So that you can do. Not only that, like if you go here and you can actually, yeah, let me just remove this part. Okay, so that this will become easy for us. So like, you know, so if I will go here, okay, so you can change your data source order alphabetic, we can do it. Okay, yeah, this is the option I wanted to show you. So this is the meaning of a tooltip I just told you, and the different options that you will be seeing with respect to the tooltips is that you can actually create a group. Okay, you can actually create a set. Okay, and then you can actually display the underlying set. Also you can exclude it. Okay, so if you do not want your users to be able to access to this tooltip commands, you can disable them. All of these things could be done with the tooltip. So this keep only is something which is going to create a filter that will remove all other data. Okay, you just keep only few things reminding you remove it. Okay, so you can say that with this keep only. And exclude is something, certain thing that we have already used it. And also we have creating a set. We will be exploring about creating a set and members and all in this upcoming sessions. But as of now, what you can understand is that this is the meaning of a tooltip and what are the options that a tooltip could give me. Okay, so that's one thing we can do it. And then this title is also actually an optional component. Okay, and yeah, so that I have explained you about, like, the titles, how you can show, and all those things has been already been discussed. So this is one more optional component which is available. And one more is there is like legends. Okay, so legends is basically, let me just put the profit here. Okay, so once I have put this, then I have giving my color. See here, what you see here, right? So this is what you call it as a legends basically. So when you will add a field to your color, size and shape, which is on the marks card, a legend will be displayed. This is to indicate how the view is encoded with relation to your data. Okay, so that is the meaning of a legends. Okay, so I think we have explored on every options that is possible with respect to the parts of the view. So with that, we have actually come to a conclusion about for the demo of your parts of view. Hope you have got a better understanding on what exactly is happening in a visualization and what are the different parts that is available as a view. Along with the view, to make your view better, what are the different options a Tableau is providing me. So just an exposure we have got into it so that we can make use of the options in the right way in our working environment. So that's all I have for this session. Thank you.